Outlaw Kart racing has exploded across the country. With that explosion, SimpleCageKit.com, Toigo Racing has shipped cage kits across the country. These conversion kits that we build are simple, they're easy, and they're fast to install. You can put them in with a friend in an afternoon. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna show you just how easy it is to put a conversion kit together very quickly and easily. We're gonna show you the parts that come in the box, and we're gonna show you the few tools that you need to do that assembly. It's pretty simple to do the conversion on a flat cart. You only need a few tools. You're gonna need a drill. There's 4 holes that have to be drilled. Next, you're gonna need an impact. Makes it faster and easier. You can use a ratchet if you prefer. For the ratchet or for the impact, you're gonna need a 1/2-inch socket and you're gonna need a 7/16" socket. You'll want a wrench to match both of those as well. You're then going to need 3 Allens. We like a handheld Allen, a 3/32 for the Zeus tabs, if you so choose to put them on the cage. And then we have a couple other socket Allens that we like because it's just a quicker way to do the assembly. One is a 4mm, the other one is a 13/16 Allen socket. And those are really the only tools that you need to do the conversion assembly on a flat cart. So one of the most exciting parts about the conversion kit is probably getting it in the mail. When the box shows up, you're ready to get it all out, look through it, and start building. Let's see what's in the box. The first thing you're gonna get is the packet. This packet contains the instructions for the complete build. We're gonna walk you through the basic build today, but this instruction kit is gonna walk you through in detail the easiest way to put this cart together. Receivers. This is how you mount the cage to the chassis. These brackets, they hold the rear tail tank to the rear bumper. This is the bumper that these mount to. Next, you have your complete hardware kit. Every part is listed in the packet that I've already shown. Rivets for the wing, complete hardware kit, including all the springs, all the bolts, all the pins, everything you need to complete your conversion assembly. Next, we have the rails and the rail adjusters that hook the wing to the cage. This allows for adjustment of your wing forward, backwards, up, and down. Next, I'm going to bring out the wing components. These are the pieces that go on the front, back, and sides of the wing. These are the 2 side panels of the wing, which also, everything on the wing is replaceable. You can just order a part and replace it if something were to happen on the track. Next, we have the center section of the wing itself. This is one of the hood options. We offer 2 hood options, which we'll explore later when we show you the assembly of the cart. The hood is fiberglass and carbon fiber. It's one of the lightest hoods on the market. It also has a corner force. These come in black and white. Tail tank. This will hook to the brackets that I showed earlier to the rear bumper that comes with this conversion kit. Side panel. This is the large side panel. This goes on the right side of the car and Zeus is to the car if you choose to install this on your conversion kit. Finally, we have the left side panel. Some call it the left side arm guard. This mounts onto our cage as well. Every piece here is custom built for the Simple Cage Kit Toigo conversion. And last, but not least, the cage. Easy to install, easy to assemble, easy to use instructions. In an afternoon, you're gonna have a conversion kit. We've talked about the tools. We've talked about all of the parts in the kit. We've talked about the instructions that come with the entire kit. Let's get down to business. Let's put this car together and show you just how easy it is. As assembly begins, the first thing that we need to do is drill 4 holes. We're gonna drill a hole in the front Nerf Bar spud on each side. We're gonna drill a hole in each frame rail on each side. The easiest way to go about doing that is to actually dry fit the cage onto the chassis. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put one receiver on this Nerf Bar spud. We're going to put another receiver on that Nerf Bar spud, and we're going to place receiver 3 and 4 on the rear frame rails. Then we're going to place the cage on. We're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to show you how we mark for the holes. So now that we've dry fit the cage, we haven't put any springs in or any of things like that. All we've done is slide the receivers on like we showed in the last images that you saw. Now we've dry fitted the cage on here. All we're going to do is we're going to take a pen, we're going to mark where the holes go on these spuds. On this side, on that side, on the rear frame rails, back here as well. Now, these holes are slotted. What you're going to want to do is make sure that you're marking in the center of that slot to allow the receivers on the front to move horizontally and the receivers on the back to move with the car. That allows the chassis to flex and move like we know that it needs to in go-kart racing. We had the cage on. We dry fitted it. We marked all the holes and then we drilled them. Once we had them drilled, we pulled the cage back off. We placed the receivers where they needed to go, and we bolted them in the front and we pinned them in the rear. Now, we talked about this previously. What we did was we made sure that the front, right, and left can slide side to side so that they can move. The cage can kind of do what it wants to do on top of the chassis. In the rear, it can do the same thing. Now, you'll also notice the Nerf bar is on here. Depending on the kind of Nerf bar you choose to use, you're going to need to make sure that you install that Nerf bar at the same time that you install these front receivers, because it has to go through the Nerf bar spud, and the receiver at the same time. The next thing that we're going to go over is spring assembly. The springs that sit in these receivers are really what make this an Outlaw Kart. It allows the chassis to do what the chassis is supposed to do, and that's flex, transfer weight, move from the left to the right. So with that being said, what we're going to go to is spring assembly. In the last step, we talked about installation of the receivers. We talked about how to drill. We talked about Nerf bars, all that stuff. What we're going to do now is one of the most important parts, the spring assembly. This is how we do it. We have 2 neoprene bushings that go onto our spring, one on each end. We then take and place the spring inside the receiver. It will float freely inside this receiver, and one of the ways that it does it is with a black plug that goes in the end of the cage. When the cage slides down in, this black plug and the neoprene bushing mate and slide on each other. This prevents wear. It also prevents binding of the car, which is one of the main things that we're trying to avoid when we place a cage onto a flat car. In the next step, we're going to go over cage installation and how we pin it to the receivers and how it should truly float on this chassis. So in this step, we've installed the cage. We've placed it on top of the springs and the bushings that we have inside the springs. It's now sitting in there. You can see that the pins are located at all 4 corners. The cage is slightly preloaded, so the pin comes up and hits the top of the slot inside the receiver. In the next step, what we're going to show you is how we put on the pieces that go on the top of the cage that hold the wing. We're also going to show the rear bumper installation for your car. One of the main features of the ToigoRacing.com Simple Cage Kit conversion is the modularity of this cage. You'll notice that there are no ears or places for the wing currently. That's because of the modular system that we've developed. In the top of this cage, you'll notice that there are threaded inserts that allow you to replace, if needed, and install the top wing rails to this cage. We have a pre-built wing rail right here. This wing rail consists of 2 tabs on the bottom that bolt directly to the cage and the pre-threaded holes. Contains the wing rail itself and the wing rail extension. All of these pieces are bolted together, as you can see with Allen's. The top of the wing rail itself has threaded slide clips that allow easy installation and removal of the wing. What we're going to do next is place the wing rail on top of the cage and bolt it on. We'll be placing both sides on the cage when we come back in the next step and we move on to the rear bumper installation. Next, we're going to install the rear bumper. What we've already done for this video is essentially installed the rear tail tank brackets and the Zeus springs that go on these rear tail tank brackets as well. You'll want to put those springs on so that it's easy for you to line up the holes and mark the tail tank, which we'll get to. We're pretty far into our build. We've installed the cage, we've installed the receivers, we have the rear bumper on with the rear tail tank mounts. We have the wing rails, we have the ears mounted on the cage. Just like the ears that are mounted on the cage, that are modular, that you can change, replace, because there's threaded inserts, the entire cage is built with laser cut and threaded holes. These holes are meant so that you can choose the body style you like best. The body style we're going to show today is the full fiberglass body style. We do offer options of a front nose with just a tail tank as well, and we'll cover that a little bit later. But for now, what I want to talk about are these modular tabs. These are modular tabs built to hold the Zeus springs that you will attach the Zeus buttons to when you're attaching the fiberglass to this car. It's very simple. There's holes already drilled in these tabs for threaded Allen bolts. These threaded Allens bolt right into the cage at the junction where the fiberglass needs to mount. There are 2 holes on this side, there are 2 holes on that side, there are holes back here for the left side arm guard, and there are holes back there for the right side panel. It makes this cart completely modular to the look that you're going for. So we've now bolted all Zeus tabs to the cage itself. Not only have we bolted all of the Zeus tabs to the cage, we've also installed all of the Zeus springs with rivets provided in the kit to these Zeus tabs. The next part we're going to do is we're going to dry fit all of the fiberglass onto this cage. What we suggest you do is dry fit. What I mean by that is lay the fiberglass panels on the side. It's built to fit on this cage specifically. Lay the hood on the front. It will overlap both bars and it will overlap the side panel. Put the corner piece on. Once you have them dry fit in that manner, you may need to do some cutting depending on the specific look you're going for. If you don't need to, then all you need to do, mark the holes on your fiberglass for the Zeus buttons themselves, drill the holes in your fiberglass, put the Zeus button in, fiberglass is attached. We're getting ready for the final touches. We've installed the fiberglass. It looks amazing. We've put the Zeus buttons in all of the Zeus button tabs. It's all connected firmly. We're going to move into the next step, which is actually the final step for what we're going to do today. We're going to put the wing on top of this car. The wing assembly itself is pretty simple, and that's what I'm going to show you next. Before we move on to installing the wing, let's talk about some of the features and benefits of the wing. This wing was designed by Toigo Racing. It's completely built from 5150 aircraft aluminum. Many people like to have them powder coated, but it does come raw 5150 aircraft aluminum. The wing itself comes with the center panel, a large side panel, a small side panel, 4 kickers such as this and this. There's a front and back support bracket here and down there. One of the key features of this wing, or things you should remember when building the wing, is that both panels roll the same direction. This panel rolls to the left if you're in front of the wing, so does that panel. One of the best things about this wing is that the entire thing is die punched and templated. Every wing is exactly the same. You can replace any part on this wing at any time. You don't have to replace the entire wing. What we're going to do next is we're going to put it on top of the car and we're going to mount it. It's a pretty simple process. The wing goes together with 4 Allen head bolts. Those 4 Allen head bolts have washers. They hold the wing to the threaded clips that are on the wing rails. There's not much to it. Makes it really nice if you have a small trailer and you need to pull the wing off to go inside. You just take out the 4 bolts, pop the wing off, slide it in the trailer, and you go. With that being said, that's all there is to this complete installation. Everything from drilling to installing the receivers to putting the cage on, it's not that complicated. It's about an afternoon of work. If this body style is one that you like, you've seen it all. You know how it goes together. It's pretty simple. If this isn't the body style you like, you have the option with this modular design to change it. If you like this hood but don't want the side panel, feel free to run only the hood. If you don't want to run this side panel, feel free to take it off and not install those Zeus buttons. We also offer another hood. We call it a buggy hood. It sits on the front. It mounts to the front bumper. Many kids, little kids, will run that hood with only a tail tank and a wing. We have all these options on ToigoRacing.com. You can read about more how-tos and best practices on SimpleCageKit.com. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us through email or give us a call. Give us a like on Facebook. Check us out.